Story 1: The Uninvited Guest. In the winter of 2016, a young woman named Emma moved into a small apartment in Chicago. The place was old but charming, the kind of apartment where creaky floors and flickering lights felt more nostalgic than unsettling at first. Emma was used to living alone, but in this new place, loneliness wasn't her problem. Almost immediately, she noticed strange things: the sound of footsteps in the hallway when no one was home, the light in her kitchen turning on by itself in the middle of the night, and her cat staring intensely at corners of the room, hissing at something invisible.
One night, Emma woke up to the sound of her bedroom door slowly creaking open. She thought maybe the draft had caught it, but as her eyes adjusted to the darkness, she saw the silhouette of a man standing in the doorway. Frozen with fear, she couldn't move or speak. But just as quickly as the figure appeared, it vanished. Emma believed it was a dream, until she found muddy footprints on the floor the next morning. A few days later, a neighbor told her that the previous tenant, a man named Michael, had vanished without a trace. And the last place he was seen alive? Emma's apartment. Story 2: The Crying Woman in Room 306. In the summer of 2008, a man named Darren checked into an old roadside motel just outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. The place was run down but cheap, and all he needed was one night of sleep before finishing his drive. The receptionist gave him room 307, but as he walked past room 306, he heard the sound of a woman softly crying. Darren hesitated, debating whether to knock or mind his own business. He chose the latter. At midnight, the crying grew louder, almost unbearable. Curious and concerned, Darren stepped out of his room. The hallway was empty, the door to room 306 slightly ajar. He pushed it open and found the room abandoned, covered in a layer of dust and cobwebs. The bed was unmade, but the mattress was rotting, and there were old newspapers on the floor dating back to 1992. Later, Darren learned that in 1992, a woman had checked into room 306 and was found dead 3 days later. Every guest who stayed next to that room since then reported hearing the same soft, heart-wrenching crying in the dead of night. Story 3: The Shadow Under the Bridge. In a quiet town in Oregon, there's an old railway bridge that locals avoid once the sun goes down. Known as Whispering Bridge, it's the site of a chilling urban legend. But this story comes from Liam, who swore it wasn't a legend at all. One foggy evening, Liam and his friend Mark dared each other to cross the bridge after dark. As they walked, the wind carried what sounded like faint whispers, though there was no one else around. Midway across the bridge, Mark froze in place, eyes wide with terror. Beneath the bridge, under the wooden planks, a dark figure slowly climbed upward, its limbs bending unnaturally like a spider. Liam and Mark ran, not daring to look back. When they reached the other side, Mark was pale, shaking, and speechless. The next day, local news reported a body had been found under Whispering Bridge. The police never identified the man, and the cause of death remained a mystery. But Mark knew the truth. The shadow wasn't human. Story 4: The Man in the Back Seat. This story comes from Sarah, a nurse who worked late night shifts at a hospital in Maine. One snowy December night, Sarah was driving home through empty streets when she noticed a strange reflection in her rearview mirror. The outline of a man sitting silently in her back seat. Panicked, she swerved onto the roadside and jumped out, phone in hand, ready to call the police. But when she opened the car door, the back seat was empty, only her work bag lying there. She convinced herself it was exhaustion playing tricks on her. But when Sarah arrived home, her neighbor rushed over, pale and breathless. She had seen someone, a tall man, crouched behind Sarah's car as she parked. Police searched the area but found nothing. 2 days later, a man matching the description was arrested. He had been stalking women for weeks and had broken into multiple cars. Sarah realized she had narrowly escaped becoming another victim. Story 5. The Forgotten Basement. In 2019, a couple named Tom and Lucy bought an old farmhouse in rural Pennsylvania. The house was large, the price suspiciously low. As they unpacked, Lucy discovered a hidden door in the pantry leading to a narrow staircase. At the bottom was a basement neither of them had known existed. The air was damp, and the walls were covered in scratches. On the far side, an old wooden chair sat facing the wall, and beside it, an ancient tape recorder. When Tom pressed play, static filled the air, followed by a man's voice whispering, "Don't look behind you." Tom and Lucy immediately left the house. Later, they learned the property had belonged to a man reported missing in 1974. Authorities suspected foul play, but his body was never found. The scratches on the basement walls, it turned out, matched the marks left by human fingernails.